The stakes are high.
Blood flows are not to the side, they're down.
And a bold photographic experiment.
Instantly, without thinking about it or checking out their information.
But because over the years people come forward and claim to have been part of the expedition, many still believe it.
Millions of Christians believe it to be a gaping wound in his side left by the jab of a lance. When the darks and
15 miles south of Miles.
Others argue differently.
Leonardo was the perfect candidate.
So there was obviously a very strong awareness of lenses and their attributes.
Berkman reasons that if Leonardo truly devised a pioneering system of photography, any lens he had, by a simple law of physics, light travels in a straight line. But when light rays reflected from a bright
we were world famous. We had our 15 minutes of fame, you know.
Wood experts at the U.S. Forestry Department and carbon dating analysts at the University of Pennsylvania
who would like to believe that Noah's boat landed on this mountain use that as an argument. Obviously, the easiest way for these heavy timbers to be found on this 17,000-foot-high mountain would be to float there.
However, carbon dating analysts using sophisticated methods not available during the 1955
After he was taken down from the cross, he was wrapped in a body-length burial linen.
That was heavily Libby, the American inventor of the carbon-14 dating system.
And he told us himself.
The shroud was privately owned by a French family, the Descharnes.
Hagopian claims that as a small boy in about 1908, his village at Lake Vaughan near Mount Ararat was
how to walk through. Everyone asks me, where is it? Where is it? There's no...
Berkman will use a life-sized mannequin as his subject. Because his camera obscura will require a very long exposure, it's important that he capture an object that remains...
It's rock steady.
Leonardo could certainly have fashioned such a mannequin, but he was also an...
In a rare interview shortly before his death, Ed Davis describes looking into a deep chasm. Davis reports the ark is broken into 2 pieces. Of the Hagopian and Davis stories, their recollections and Alfred Lee's provocative illustrations fuel the imaginations of a new generation.
One way of looking at it is working with these chemical compounds. You might be considered an alchemist or a witch. That could be problematic at the time.
Those who argue that Leonardo created the shroud believe the key factor to be his combative relationship with the Catholic Church.
Mount Ararat more than 50 times with everyone from Ferdinand Navarre to James Irwin, photographs a rectangular shape in the ice cap on the western plateau.
An Italian lawyer, Secondo Pia, gained permission to take the first photograph of the shroud. He was startled when he viewed the negatives.
With disappointing results on Mount Ararat in the 1980s, some ark searchers begin to turn toward a site of Fasold, become convinced that the boat-shaped depression known as the Darupanar site is not a geological formation.
The astonishing thing is, if you look objectively at the image of the Shroud of Turin, even some of the people who still believe it's literally the image of Jesus, even they have murmured among themselves, it looks like Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, it was like a thunderbolt to us.
But why sea anchors in the middle of a desert?
The Epic of Gilgamesh, it makes reference to
purported images of Leonardo. If this were a forensic case, we would say that
And stunned CIA photo interpreters back in Washington saw what appeared to be a bow of a ship sticking up out of the glacier.
Because the face from the shroud and a young Da Vinci portrait share facial proportionalities does not mean that they are the same individual.
The facial analysis data represent the same On February 19, 1976, physicist John Jackson wanted to prove that the shroud image could have been imprinted on the cloth while it lay over a three-dimensional...
To say the least, along with many people in the audience, startled by his immediate and forthright response, and I befriended Dr. Carver that very day, and Dr. Carver graciously agreed to pursue this matter with me.
As Taylor begins...
This is that this shows the idea that the cloth was over a three-dimensional body, that we can, with one single relationship between intensity and distance, come
to the 1995, after 2 years of official Freedom of Information requests and
shroud figure.
Here, no one knows what we're going to get.
The first step is to take out the color. Then the animators go to a negative.
19th.
Very prominent, a salient, a huge something, sticking right up out of the ice cap at 15,000 feet on...
In 1532.
The next step for this is basically to elevate this, because what this is black and white data, and it's elevation data, where you have...
Implants or sig...
Believe the shroud is truly Jesus' burial cloth. The ghostly quality only enhances its powerful...
Some in the intelligence community feel that they lose either way. If it is a rock, if it is geological, there'll be those who say, well, gee whiz, what's our government wasting its time evaluating rocks?
During its last public exhibition in 2000.
CIA's satellite images remain classified to this day.
In 1978, researchers sought to study up close the linen with this undeniable power to mesmerize.
By the public, they reveal a rectangular shape protruding from the snow on the northwest corner of the Western Plateau.
Some universities, all coming together with various expertise that we could bring to study the shroud.
Think about this cloth, and how does it move you? How does it change you? Does it open your heart? Does it close your heart? I mean, it closes some minds and it opens some hearts. It does both.